hit the power on. This will turn the lathe on. It'll do its thing, it'll go through some setups, and then it'll prompt you on what to do on the screen. So when this first comes up, it'll say door cycle. That means you have to open and close the door. There's a switch in there that cycles to let you know that you're taking care of it. So then after you cycle the door, you want to hit power up restart. That'll power up the machine. That'll put the turret and everything in place where it's ready to start. And then you're basically, you should always, it'll give you a green light sometime, I think, when it's ready. Maybe it doesn't give you a green light at the beginning. Okay, so we're gonna make plugs on this one. So I have this over here. This will be the one for plugs. Those are the buttons that you'll follow to cycle a new bar. So when you first cycle this up, you wanna go into current commands. And then you're gonna, I believe this is already current commands. It'll tell you at the top that you're in commands. So then you're gonna page up. You can page up or down, it doesn't matter. So if you go too far, you can always go back one. And you're gonna go to commands. This is the, I don't know which one they call it. Basically, it's all the 3100 codes that'll be in here. So in order to start a new bar, which this shows you on here, you go into current commands and then it reset 3107, which is this code right here, the 3107. Every time this runs, it'll only run, it's set up to run one bar at a time that it pulls in there. So what you want to do is go down to 3107 and you're going to put that to 0. After it runs a bar, when you go back in there, it'll show 1. So each time you finish a whole bar cycling of plugs, you'll have to go back in and set that to 0 and hit enter. So if it was on 1 right now, it knows that it's done, so you can just hit 0 and enter to 0 it out. Okay, so once that's done, you're gonna go to edit. Once you reset the 3107 code to 0, you're gonna go into edit. And then you will go to MIM, and that will get you ready to start a bar. So you're gonna turn the option stop on. It's this button here, the option stop. That'll pop up telling you the option stop is on. What that does is the turret and the tool will only go through one operation. Like it'll drill, and then you have to start it again. It'll drill the next one, you start it again. It'll cut the tool, start it, everything. Instead of just doing it from start to finish, like it will once you cycle, you have to push the start button each time when the option stop's on. So once the option stop is on there, you're gonna go to option stop on, you're gonna go to home, which it's already home on this one because we're started. And then you're gonna hit cycle. And what that's gonna do is load a bar in the tailstock. It thinks there's a bar in there already. Okay. So we're gonna reset that. And then we're gonna go, that just gave me a heart attack. Where's home on this? That's on home, and then you want to, so we can send that home too. Oh. Okay, so let's start over on that one. So we're gonna go to, we're at the beginning, edit, current commands. Stop on, home, cycle. I'm going to turn this speed down. If you're ever in doubt of somewhere where you think you might be in the wrong spot or something, you're not sure exactly what it's going to do first, these are 5%, 25, 50, 100. It's always going to be on 100% if nothing's showing on there unless you push one of these, and then it'll change to what you want. You can put it on 5. That's going to make everything move 5% of its full power, like slowly. Okay. So you can hit that. Okay, so it still thinks there's a bar in there for some reason. I don't know why. So we'll just let it go through this first cycle. It's that cycles that's going to put a bar in there. So see how it's running really slow at 5%?
Yeah.
So I kick it up to 50%. What this is going to do is pick up a bar. I usually come over here in case it misses. You can just kind of grab one and throw it in there. Usually it'll just pick up one bar. That's all it's going to do. So that's going to feed that into the machine. Okay, so that's set. It's in there. So after the cycle, you're going to hit reset. Basically just following the buttons on there. and then you're going to turn your option stop off. And then I'm going to run this at 5% just to make sure it goes to. Actually, yeah, I'll show you what the option stop on, what it does is you'll, so that's reset home, okay. This is going to push that out a little bit to get your first part. It'll push it out of the chuck. So each time, every operation it does, it'll stop and it'll tell you your green light, you're good to go again. Okay. So then we'll push this again, and that's going to bring the turret head up to it, the tool. It's going to come down and drill. It'll drill the first hole in it, is what it's going to do. Please start that again. You hit the cycle until it's done with this part. When it cuts off, then you know you're done. Drilled the second hole in there. It basically does a little peck drill, and then it does a hole drill that drills it. The drill bit for when we rack these in there, it drills that hole so you can put them on the rack for anodizing. So then the next step is it's going to cut it. So the cutting tool comes down and it'll cut the shape of the plug. This is on the cutoff, it'll tell you that it's on the cutoff. Spin it to the cutting tool and you got a part. So when I usually check the first part for fit, make sure everything fits properly. When you're done with all that, you can take the option stop off and hit start. It'll run through the rest of those parts of a full bar without stopping. So you don't have to check every single piece. And we'll drop that piece down in here. Fish it out a little bit more. Peace. Alright. And then that all looks good, everything went good, then I turn this to 100%, turn the option stop off, and then hit cycle again. Now spin this thing around, and it'll keep running and it'll keep spitting out parts until this is done. When it's done, it'll stop on its own. All you gotta do is start that over again. Current commands reset to 0. It'll keep running every bar.
One time.
If you get into a problem, you just hit the emergency shut off. It'll stop everything right where it's at. Only problem with that is when you're done, then you have to unload the bar, get everything set to 0, start all fresh again. So normally, unless something bad happens, you don't have to hit that. I mean, somebody's messing with it and they get their clothing stuck in there and you gotta stop this thing, that stops everything. Okay. So other than that, once we'll do the whole bar, let it run its thing, pull the parts out, and then I'll show you how to shut it down. Okay. This is at the end of just about to where it's about to cut off. If you're ever in there and you want to check parts again, hit option stop before it finishes this cycle. It'll cut off, and then wherever you're at, it'll finish doing what it's doing, and it'll stop. So the machine will freeze. Then you can open the door. You can check your part. It's messy, so you can get all that stuff down there. But then you take this and you can check your piece for fit to make sure everything's fitting properly. Make sure the head's on there, everything looks good. So as long as your fitment's good, you don't have to do any adjustments or anything. Then you can just shut this, turn the option stop off. That'll go away, and then just hit start again, and it'll start up right where it left off. So if I was to stop it right now, all it's going to do is drill a hole and stop. Oh, okay. Whenever you hit option stop, it's going to finish what it's doing and then stop. And then all you have to do is take the option stop off, hit cycle again. So if these were, I'll show you at the end of this actually. First cut these up into sections. You've got to round one end on them. You just kind of chamfer that down a little bit, just so it's got a nice little edge, so when it goes through the what do you call it? The chuck or whatever in there. The collet. When it goes through the collet, it doesn't catch like a square edge on the back, but it has something to slide through. So okay, so this is done. You'll have the blinking lights. It'll show you that bar is cycled, so it'll say max bars done. So then if you want to restart another bar, you have to go back into current commands and set that to 0, is all it is. So, but if you were having parts come out and they were a little bit too small or too big, either way, you go into offsets, and then you can page up until you get to tool wear. The cutting tool is what takes care of that. It's tool number 12. It'll tell you which one it is. So you'll take this down on the down arrows to that one until it's highlighted, and then you can minus or plus whatever you need to do. If you need to take more out or put more in, you put it in your, I usually start off with like, it'll be like, this is 18 thousandths, so I'll go up to like 20. Only take 2 or 3 out at a time, you know, in small increments. So you just punch in like minus 0.002, and then you hit that, so that'll take out an extra 2 thousandths of an inch, is all that's doing. If you want to put that back in there, instead of doing the minus, you just put 0.002. It'll show you what you're putting in, and then you hit right or enter, same thing, and it'll put it where it was. So whatever, either you minus or you either minus it or just put your number in. When you put your number in, that's the positive number on there, and then you just enter that. And I think that takes care of full parts making. Done. When you finished a bar, it's completely, everything's idling, sitting. All you need to do is hit the auto off. There's an auto off button, that's all that is. You just hit that. It'll show you, it'll go home, park where it's gonna be, and then it'll show you 15, 14, 30, it'll count down. Once that shuts down, you just go back over and turn off the phase converter.